Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
And you're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Drink from Murder. This was one of the most sensational murder cases on the Western Slope in Grand Junction. And it occurred in 1946, and one of my dear friends from that side of the mountain is a relative of one of those involved in the story. So this is the story of Sam McMullin, who was 88 at the time in 1946. And
88?
Well, 88. He was not a spring chicken. Yeah.
Are you 88 too? Who says spring chicken? What the hell?
Me. I'm close to 88.
What? Yeah. You look damn good then. Let me just tell you.
Vampire blood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it works. But he was a well-to-do, prominent lawyer, a former district attorney. Because he's 88, he's no longer a district attorney.
Oh, okay. Former.
And
gotcha.
He was also a Grand Junction pioneer, meaning he had helped settle the area, thus being as old as he was. Yeah. He's not around to hear this at this time, so we're okay. It was a cold November morning when Sam...
Hey, he could come back and haunt you.
True. Maybe that's why things are falling on me at this point.
I'm just saying, don't just assume.
I was told at one point there is a portal in my basement, which is exactly where I'm at right now, recording.
At the house you're in right now?
Yeah, and I'm like, how's that possible? But okay, because it's like we had it built like 5-6 years ago. So maybe it's on ancient burial grounds.
Who told you that?
It was a psychic.
Realtor? What the hell?
Yeah. She's like, oh, by the way, don't worry.
And by the way, bonus, in the basement, there is a rough-in for a bathroom and a portal.
A portal to hell.
I want to go to a different dimension.
Yeah. It was
And the previous owners are leaving it for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know how you take it with you, but yeah. So somebody left it for us. The medium, we had a medium that came to my shop one time and was doing readings of everyone. And at one point she said, oh, by the way, you have a portal in your basement. Do you ever feel weird things? And I was like, I feel surprisingly awesome when I'm in the basement. So I don't know. I love the basement. So something's either wrong with me or they're good spirits.
I hope it's good spirits. I hope it's just not that you're just attached to the wrong spirits or what. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I choose to be their friend. So as long as I'm good.
There you go.
Yeah. We're buddies down here. All right. So back to Sam.
Sorry.
So this was when it's a cold November morning. Sam gets up. He does as he always does. He pours himself a shot of bourbon. Isn't that what you do the first thing in the morning?
I will now.
Yeah. I mean, a great idea. But only a couple minutes later, he yells for his housekeeper, Jenny Wiley, to bring him a cup of coffee. And when Jenny hands him the coffee, he told her he felt sick, but he didn't want the doctor. And then he said, that drink I had, and then he collapsed in convulsions.
What?
Yes. Crazy.
Okay,
huh?
hold on. We gotta back up a little bit. For one, he was gonna do a coffee chaser after a shot of bourbon.
He was like, weird. Something's weird with that drink. So yeah.
Right, so I'm going to wash it down with a coffee.
I'm wondering if they knew something back then that we didn't know. Maybe you're supposed to start the day on a better note instead of coffee with alcohol.
Man, if that's what the ritual is, and over the years it's gotten handed down and they forgot the bourbon and everyone's just been doing coffee.
No wonder we're in a pandemic.
Well, I'm going to start tomorrow.
I'll begin my new ritual tomorrow.
Yes.
So Jenny, the housekeeper, she quickly calls Dr. Herman Bull and Samsung. Oh, this is going to be hard to say.
Samsung?
He called Samsung in Japan. He's like, yo, what do we do about this shit? Except he's actually a she. Jenny quickly calls Dr. Herman Bull and Sam's son, Howard, both of who live nearby. They both arrived within 10 minutes, but it was too late to save Sam. Dr. Bull pronounced him dead of a heart attack. But Sam, poor Sam. Sam's death was front page news, and his funeral was claimed to be the largest Grand Junction had ever seen. He was a very well-known dude. His entire family was showered with condolences. All of them, that is, except for his wife, Mazie.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Friends and family had not yet recovered from the shocking and sudden news that had happened just 6 weeks prior. Sam had eloped with Mazie Lightfoot on what seemed to be a whim, unexpectedly. Mazie was suspected of being a gold digger since she was 24 years younger than her new husband. So she wasn't really accepted into the family. 24 years younger.
Why. 24 years, and he was 88.
He was 88. So, I mean, she's not that young either.
Yeah, she is also not a, quote, spring chicken.
No. So
she's like a fall chicken. I don't know.
She's a fall chicken. They do have them, because I noticed at the we have Baumgars. I don't know if you guys have those out there. It's like a well, probably because it's like ranch supply, but also hardware stuff. They have fall chickens right now.
Yeah, we went to a Tractor Supply store, believe it or not. There's something we needed there.
Tractors.
Yeah, we needed a tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were chickens and ducks.
I know, good fall babies.
Yeah. So what's the spring? So she was a fall chicken. Anyway,
So she was a fall chicken. Yeah.
Mazie, the fall chicken. Got
Mazie
it.
the fall chicken. So Sam's family was shocked by the sudden nuptials, of course, but no one was more stunned than her fiancé of 7 years, Roy Maxon.
Wait, she had a fiance
Of 7 years.
of 7 years, but then the
Yep.
fall chicken up and married the spring chicken.
Yes. So Roy Maxon is the great-grandfather of my friend who submitted the story. Roy himself learned of the marriage through the newspaper.
Oh man.
Isn't that mean?
Could you imagine his friends going, "Hey man, remember that girl you're going to marry?
Yeah.
Have you seen the story in the paper?"
I know.
That's cold.
And Roy himself, he was a widowed peach farmer in Grand Junction, which is still known for its peaches, and now it's wine. Anyway, Roy had...
You could be okay.
No, I miss the peaches. God damn it.
And now I have the presidents of the United States playing in my head. Millions.
Peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches,
Okay, sorry.
peaches for me. Yes. Oh, good song. Roy had 3 children he was raising on his own while dating Mazie, who was also younger than him. He was in his 60s at the time, but nothing close to the age of the man in his 80s that Mazie would eventually marry.
Well, I thought people back in the day got married younger. These are
Yeah.
a lot of people who are older.
Yeah. And I think most of them were widowed, it sounded like. Because it sounds
Okay.
like Mazie had children as well, but not there. So they were grown.
This is like a retirement home love triangle.
Yeah.
Is what we got going down here.
Totally, yes. So from the stories Colleen heard, Mazie had come from somewhere out east and was less than thrilled with the farm accommodations Roy had offered her.
Well, but it was okay enough to hang out for 7 years.
Yeah, like, we'll hang out until I find something better. I don't know. An 88-year-old
Not
maybe.
cool.
Oh.
Not-
Mr. Burns.
Ouch!
I know.
Ouch! How
Mhm.
bad when you're like, yeah, I'm ditching you for an 88-year-old.
Oh, it had to hurt. Oh, here. Maisie was 54 at the time of Sam's death.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Phew.
She was a seamstress prior to the marriage and had somewhat of a reputation in town. And
I'd say.
but that was all the documentation I could find of it. So I'm guessing, that they were putting it nicely, a
Okay.
polite way probably of saying she got around,
Mm-hmm.
is my guess. Which, I mean, why not? If you're single, which she really wasn't because she was engaged to Roy for 7 years. And it isn't like 7 years, doesn't that become common law marriage at that point? I don't know.
Right.
knows?
I don't, but they have to be living together, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
And who knows? Maybe they were in. But
Maybe
it
they
did
weren't.
seem she just wasn't happy with the accommodations.
that
at the
would
farm,
be even
so-
worse if she was living with him
Oh
and
my
she got up and
God.
married somebody else.
That would just be evil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But her reputation apparently didn't even bother Roy, who was purported to have been infatuated with Mazie.
Oh.
There are reports that Mazie had told Roy she was going to Salt Lake City to help her daughter find an apartment as her excuse for leaving town, when she was actually eloping with Sam.
Oh.
I'm going to Salt Lake to go help my daughter for the weekend.
Oh my God. That is cold.
It's horrible. So Sam and Mazie had run off, in fact, to Aztec, New Mexico to get married, with just Sam's son, Howard, in attendance. The announcement of the marriage was surprising as well to the Grand Junction high society at the time.
I like how you did the air quotes.
Yeah. High society of Grand Junction, Colorado.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. There was a great deal of gossip around Mazie, how she had gotten to know Sam. One story was that Mazie had asked Sam to give her bridge lessons. The game bridge.
That is code for something. I don't know what.
I don't know.
But...
Yeah. After, which things moved quickly, and she seduced him into marriage.
I'm sure it was really difficult. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Really had to twist his arm.
Let's do some bridge together, baby. Let's play some
exactly.
bridge.
Marry me and we will do bridge every night.
Gross. So, but maybe she was just tired of waiting to marry Roy. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, engaged for 7 years. What's the deal with that?
Well, that's true. Like, who was stringing who along?
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem that Sam, the 88-year-old, was somewhat careful, though. He had Mazie sign a prenuptial agreement whereby she would receive $500 upon marrying him, and then $75 a month after that, along with a ritzy 1946 Nash touring car.
Wait, she was gonna get like in the agreement, she was getting paid to marry him.
Paid to marry him.
And to stay married to him.
Yes. Each month.
Why didn't I think of this before I got married?
Freaking genius.
Dang!
I mean, that's like a pot of gold. Like, okay, I guess I'll do that. And at the time, I don't know what $75 a month equaled, but it's got to be a lot back then.
Right. It's got to be a lot more now. Oh,
yeah.
Man, missed opportunity there.
And a touring car.
And a touring car.
Yes.
Right.
Which must have been a big deal at the time. I know Colleen mentioned that Sam, the rich dude, was known for having the first two-tone car in town, which was a big deal.
First two-toned car. It's not one, but two colors.
I know, big deal.
Oh, God, okay.
So after the break, you'll get to hear about anonymous letters that began arriving for Sam shortly after the marriage.
So Kelly, I really look forward to discussing true crime stories with you for our podcast each week. And you do such a great job of putting it together.
Thanks. Well, I use Anchor, so it makes it so easy. I love the creation tools. They allow me to edit and record right from my phone or computer without all the expensive or confusing software. And it's free.
Wow, all that and it's free?
Yeah. Plus, they distribute our podcast for us, so we can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more.
That's awesome. And we can make money from our podcast with no minimum listenership, right?
Yep. Anchor is everything we need to create our podcast in one place.
I think anyone who wants to have a great experience making a podcast with a good friend should download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM, which is ANCHOR.FM, to get started.
For sure. Now let's get back to that murder story.
And now back to the story. Shortly after the wedding vows of 80-something Sam and 50-something Mazie, anonymous letters began arriving at the newlyweds' home and at the home of Sam's son, Howard. Intrigue. Some of the letters described Mazie as a loose woman who had no love for Sam, would do him harm, and that Sam should get rid of her.
Damn,
that's rid of those loose women, Sam.
Tie up your women. They're loose. I don't know.
She's loose all over the city.
Right.
Howard, the son of Sam.
Wrong story.
Oh, yes. Well, Howard, he was freaked out by the letters, but his father, Sam, shrugged it off, claiming he'd never been happier, so what did he care? Which, yeah.
Well, yeah, when you're 80-something and,
you're like,
you're like, hey, I'm just kicking it as long as I can.
Yeah, I'm getting the love of a younger woman. Doesn't matter to me.
We're playing bridge nightly.
Yeah. I've never had more of an exciting life. But the natural assumption of all was that the letters came from the rejected lovelorn Roy. I mean, it makes sense, you know.
It totally makes sense.
So in his will, Sam had left $3,000 and the new Nash touring car to Mazie, as his prenuptial had stated. He also left a large settlement to his housekeeper, Jenny, but the bulk of his substantial fortune was left to his two sons. One was named Bentley, a Denver attorney, and his other son was Howard. But, you know, I was thinking, like, why did the older son get the cool car name and the second son ends up being called Howard instead of, like, Ferrari or Royce or something much cooler?
I think that's a good question, although I think Howard was a cool name at the time.
Howie.
Wasn't it a big name then?
Probably. Howie.
I think.
Yeah.
Howie. Here's my baby Howie.
Here's my baby Howie. See, Bentley's so much cooler. And
this is Howard.
Yes, this is my baby Howard. But Bentley sounds so much cooler, and it sounds cool for now. Like, it's modern.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's timeless, like this story.
Exactly. I don't know. Sorry, that was a weird tangent, but
okay.
It was just like,
sorry.
Poor Howard. Mazie used her money to buy a small house, and she moved out of Sam's house. And after the huge funeral and after Sam was put to rest, Howard and his wife moved into Sam's estate. And things seemed to be peaceful again. Jenny even agreed to stay on as the housekeeper until Howard and his wife got settled in. So that was kind of her. So I don't know if she's still cleaning house or what, but she even got a nice settlement so she can leave. Can retire. That'd be sweet. However, the peace that had come across the house was short-lived. On New Year's Eve, 6 weeks after Sam's death, Howard thought a toast was in order to celebrate the coming of the new year, as one would, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Howard prepared hot buttered rum for his wife and himself and Jenny. After one taste, Howard quickly dumped the drinks in the sink. None of them liked the taste. They thought it tasted suspect. Yes. So he fixed 3 more drinks, this time using the same bourbon Sam had drank the morning of his demise. Howard and his wife Emily took a sip, but before Jenny had a chance to take a drink of hers, Howard and Emily became violently ill. Jenny calls the family doctor, who took the bottles of bourbon and rum, there were 2 different, rum and bourbon, to the state chemist in Boulder to be tested. And while the couple recovered, the bottles were found to all have poison.
All of them did?
All of them did.
So the buttered rum drinks also... Ooh.
Yes. Where they could taste it in the rum, but they must not have been able to taste it in the bourbon. So that evidence, along with the disparaging anonymous letters, were turned over to the police.
Because this whole time, they're still operating over with the idea that he had a heart attack.
Right. Like, he's old. He died.
Move on, people.
Move on. He's old. He died. Let's move on. But 2 months later, because of this, Sam's body was exhumed and an autopsy was performed. A substantial amount of strychnine was found in his vital organs. So the police chief at the time, named Joe Keith, sounds so much like a country singer, doesn't it? Joe Keith.
Joe Keith? Yeah. Isn't he on tour right now? No one's on tour right now. Sorry, my bad.
Nobody's on tour.
Nobody's on tour right now.
No, virtual tours. But Joe Keith, he decided to bring in the big guns. A special investigator from Denver. Stop laughing. These are big guns in the West.
Big guns right when I have a giant sip in my mouth. Okay.
So he brings
big guns. Go ahead.
He brought in the big guns, this guy named Walter Byron, to help with the case. Walter was a hotshot detective who'd already solved 6 prior cases in the Grand Valley. He was a hotshot in the 40s. I know. Thanks, Walter. So he comes in, he studies the handwriting in the anonymous letters, and he begins a search for all the places that sold strychnine, specifically at drugstores. They quickly discover that Roy had purchased strychnine from Carlson's Drug in the nearby town of Clifton. Then Roy is arrested on suspicion of murder. The guy that arrests him was a friend of Roy's, according to Colleen, and he hated to do it.
Oh, that sucks.
That
Dude,
totally sucks.
I know that shit is already going down in your life, and
I know.
Now I also have to arrest you.
Now I have to arrest you. I'm sorry. When police told him that they knew about him purchasing strychnine just a few days before Sam's death, he had a good reason for it. Being a farmer, Sam said he often used the poison to control the, quote, varmints at the farm.
Could you be a little more specific on which these varmints are? Because I would say the guy who married the girl I was going to marry could be a varmint.
He's kind of a varmint too. Good point. That's a good varmint control. Yes. It was funny because Colleen even knew what varmints she said that weasels often dug into all the, what was it? Some maybe irrigation lines. I can't remember, but yeah.
Huh, okay.
So that he had to control the weasels, which Sam might have been kind of a weasel. Yeah.
Sam could have been a weasel. Perspective.
Yes, perspective. Colleen also mentioned that they also told him that they determined he was the author of the anonymous letters received by Sam and Howard, and he didn't deny it, which is interesting. Oh. He did, however, vehemently deny his involvement in Sam's death, but he did admit to something a little bit scandalous.
Oh?
Yes, Roy admitted to his love for Mazie and that he peeped in the newlyweds' windows to watch Sam with his Mazie in a negligee sitting on Sam's lap.
Playing bridge?
Playing bridge.
No.
I know. But he swore he never entered the home, and Colleen's account said that the police were able to match footprints outside of the window to Roy's. So I don't know if he did this often.
How long were those footprints there? What the hell? What?
Maybe it was a nightly thing. I don't know. He had like the built-in shoe prints there because he did it every night, and so it really sunk in.
Okay, that was odd. All right.
I love the details of this. The day after Roy's arrest, Mazie publicly confronted him at the police station. According to reports, it was a very dramatic display of Mazie yelling, pulling her hair, and ripping her blouse and denouncing Roy.
Wait, what? I'm picturing like a whole soap opera scene.
Yes.
Where like she slaps him and then throws water in his face. But then you lost me at the part where she rips open her own shirt.
I don't know if she ripped it open, but she ripped her own blouse. I don't know.
I'm still.
She rips it open. Damn you, Roy!
You know, Roy, if you thought you were ever going to have these again,
you shouldn't have killed my
wrong.
husband.
What the hell?
Oh God!
What?
I know. Okay. So good. So Roy was so disheartened by her display that he offered to plead guilty to spare her any more embarrassment.
Oh, wait.
I know.
The bitch who ditched you and got married when she said she was doing something else on the weekend is embarrassed because you've been accused of her husband's murder, so you're going to plead to murder.
Yes.
To save her what he needs is a therapist.
He needs confidence. He needs a confidence boost.
Damn.
This poor guy. I know.
Yeah. He needs a lawyer and a therapist.
And the therapist at that time, it was only a short 3 weeks later that Mazie herself was arrested for murder.
What?
I guess they both could be arrested at the same time. She insists that she knows nothing about any poison or any plots to kill her husband, but the two would still have two separate trials. I don't know if laws were different back then, or they're just like, we're just going to arrest everybody.
What did they have something on her to say what the motive?
They didn't say anything unless they just had something they never released, but I'm guessing they felt like Roy wasn't as good of a suspect as they wanted, so they better just arrest them all and hope that one of them is the right one.
Does it? We'll just throw them all in jail. One of them's got to be guilty.
Somebody's guilty.
Tried
here,
separately, like they weren't being tried as like they did it together, like as a team.
Nope, they're having two separate trials.
But
I know.
Don't they cancel each other out? Like, can't they use each other as their what's it called? Shadow of a doubt
alibi.
Or whatever? They have to prove guilt beyond the shadow of a doubt. That doesn't make any sense. You can't try two people at the same time for the same murder.
I wouldn't think
one
so.
One poisoned the bourbon and the other one poisoned the rum, and they just happen to have the same great idea.
Decision.
We really should have been married. We really should have been married. Because you and I were like we're thinking. So
they're like, yeah, we got this.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think times have changed.
We really were meant to
those
be.
laws.
Okay. That's just weird. All right, so everyone's going to trial. Everyone's getting thrown in jail.
Yeah, they would have 2 separate trials. Roy's trial was set for October, and the prosecution claimed it would be asking for the death penalty in his case.
And when was her trial?
It was going to be after his, but it hadn't been determined yet a date.
But if he's found guilty, then doesn't her defense... Right, doesn't her defense lawyer just go in and go, well, someone's already been convicted, so can we just have this dismissed? That's our defense. Someone else did it.
It would make sense. So, yeah.
Oh my God, okay.
Weird times.
This would not stand up on Law and Order. I'm just saying.
No, it wouldn't. So Mazie hired a well-respected lawyer as her counsel. However, after their first meeting, he turned the case over to a fellow lawyer at his firm who had just recently been hired, claiming Mazie's theatrics were too much for him, and he said, quote, "Boy, I'm too old for this. You take over," unquote.
Yeah, that's an excellent quote. Did she also rip open her shirt and go, I can't do this. I don't deserve this here. And she rips open her shirt. Is that just her way of expressing herself? Is she just rips open her shirt every time?
She is highly dramatic. She should have been on soap operas, possibly the very original Days of Our Lives.
There you go, right.
Would have loved to have
one
her.
of the originals, right.
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, decades after the murder, Mazie's attorney said he never did believe she was guilty, saying, "Why would she kill the golden goose?" Which is true.
Wait, is he a spring chicken? Is he a goose? Can we decide what?
He's some fowl.
He's just foul?
He's just foul.
Okay.
And this lawyer, I love this, because he also didn't respect her very much, as when he went to visit her in jail for their first meeting, he claims she greeted him in a negligee. So you weren't very far off.
Wait, where does one get a negligee in jail?
In jail.
This was a soap opera. That's the only place you see a negligee in jail. What?
No. Maybe she was very, the orange jumpsuits could be converted for nighttime.
What? I'm trying to picture she tries to meet with him and she tries to rip open the orange jumpsuit, but it doesn't have the same effect because it doesn't have the delicate buttons. So she's just pulling at it and it falls flat.
The Velcro. Wait.
Maybe it had a zipper? I don't know. But where the hell would she get a negligee?
I know. My guess is it wasn't common practice to put them in jail clothes at that time.
Okay, maybe that was it.
And so she had her whole wardrobe in jail with her. Let me put on my nightie for this meeting.
Weird. This is so weird. Okay.
I love it.
All right, keep going.
But yes, after the break, we'll learn about an outcome of the trials for Roy and Mazie, because we need a break after all the negligees.
Oh, yes, please.
So I know we've been telling you guys for a while about the shop in northern Colorado called Thistle. It's also online, and you guys, there's so much stuff that's about to launch before the holidays.
Yes, I am super thankful for the guy section with so many unique finds. The men in my life are so difficult to buy for. I always find something they love at Thistle.
Me too. There's literally something for everyone, even kiddos. And with the holidays just around the corner, now is the time to snatch up goodies before they're gone.
Thistle loves ODFM so much that they are offering our listeners 10% off their purchase when using the code ODFM at checkout. That's at thistlewellington.com. That's THISTLEWELLINGTON.com. Or pop by in person in downtown Wellington, Colorado.
And now, back to our story. A few nights after her arrest, Mazie was taken to St. Mary's Hospital, where both of my kids were born, by the way.
Oh, get out.
Not crazy, I know.
Wow, okay.
So after police had given her truth serum, sodium pentothal, she was taken to St. Mary's Hospital.
Was that also poisoned?
I have no idea, but Mazie's attorney wasn't present during the administration of the truth serum, so anything she said during that was inadmissible in court.
Is that like their version of doing a lie detector test?
Lie detector? I think so. They gave her sodium pentothal and she didn't do well on it, so she had to go to the hospital.
Oh my God. She was just spewing out things and ripping off clothes.
Yeah, she said all sorts of stuff during it, which nobody knows because it never got released. And apparently that statement that she had given had been pivotal for the prosecution. But now it's inadmissible because she didn't have her lawyer there. I know.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Roy's trial has started to a crowd that was standing room only. The seats were so in demand that people brought their lunches with them so that they didn't lose their seats if they tried to get up.
Well, there was no court TV back then.
No, you had
So there's no court TV back then, so you can't live stream on your computer at work. Not that
anyone
for say like
that.
The Casey Anthony case or
yes.
I never did that or
no,
like Drew
you
Peterson
would never
or no. Anyway,
so you had to go in person and you
had to and bring your lunch.
Maybe you even wore a diaper at times so that you didn't have to lose your seat.
Okay.
Just
you
saying.
may have taken it a little further than I would have, but okay, that's just, okay.
Dedication.
Dedication.
You have to be dedicated if you're going to go sit in these. Fingerprint analysis was done on the 19 anonymous letters Sam and Howard had received. I had no clue it was that many until later.
19? Dang.
A lot of letters about that loose woman. But apparently not enough characteristics of the fingerprints matched Roy's fingerprints to determine that they were his. So they couldn't prove they were his, but the whiskey bottle was not tested for prints, which is weird.
That seems like a
failure. Roy ended up taking the stand in his own defense, which, you always hear you should never do. It's a huge no-no.
But maybe it's because people used to, and they're like, well, that failed.
That's true.
And he's one of those
test cases.
Yeah. Here's one of those examples.
It could be, but in this case, it worked in his favor.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, he had refused to testify directly against Mazie, but he did say that she had asked him to take the blame for the murder. Probably from that display, the public display.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Roy!
Right,
you can't have these bosoms. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what she would say at that time.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Okay.
That's very 1940s. So after the 2-week trial was finished, jurors claimed there wasn't enough evidence placing Roy at the McMullin house and no evidence that he knew where the whiskey was kept, so he was acquitted of all charges.
Apparently he couldn't see the whiskey from the window.
From the window. That's the thought I had. I was like, maybe he's watching them and he's like, oh, this is where the whiskey goes.
Right. Interesting.
I don't know. But because Roy had been acquitted, Mazie's charges were also dropped.
Wait, that doesn't work.
I know.
Because Roy was acquitted, then somebody else had to have done it. It's not you. What?
I know. I'm wondering if they hinged on the other. I have no idea. Okay. The district attorney felt that they couldn't get a conviction against Mazie if Roy couldn't be convicted because they had even less evidence against her than they had for Roy.
Okay.
I don't understand.
First, everybody did it, and now no one did it.
Right. Well, if you didn't do it, then she definitely didn't do it.
Oh my God. Okay.
But after a year of sensational headlines and the resulting trial, police didn't investigate any further and no one else was ever prosecuted for the murder. But there were some other theories that others could have been culpable for Sam's murder.
Okay.
And these theories were kind of good. One theory was that Jenny, the housekeeper, had poisoned the whiskey because she was angry that Sam hadn't married her, and she probably would have known as she had a substantial inheritance coming.
It doesn't sound like... I just wondered because, she had access. She knew he always had that.
Right.
The whiskey in the morning.
Butler.
Yeah, right? Clue. Hello. I just wondered. I didn't know what her motive could have possibly have been, but...
True. And I never found anything pointing to them having a romantic relationship of any kind, but...
Maybe she had offered to teach him bridge, and he turned her down.
He was like,
and
your
she
bridge
was like,
sucks. You suck at bridging.
I can't. Okay. All right. So she was okay. So she was, but nothing happened to that. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. There was another theory. Well, Sam was the owner of 2 savings and loans companies. So he was not just a lawyer. He also owned a lot of companies. And he had foreclosed on a lot of farmers and ranchers during the Great Depression. So he had no lack of enemies. And in fact, he had even been shot at previously. He wasn't well liked anyway. So it could have been someone random.
Huh.
But would they have known more about where he keeps his whiskey? Who knows? I mean, if he entertains. And another theory was that his son Howard wanted to get his inheritance and was worried his dad would change the will to give it all to Mazie.
Ooh.
So may have staged the New Year's Eve drinking incident to cast suspicion on Mazie. So that's another good theory.
Interesting.
Oh, but the one that tickled my fancy the most.
Oh, God.
I know.
Yes. I'm waiting.
In 1940s, elderly men were known to add a bit of strychnine to their whiskey as an aphrodisiac, similar to Viagra's effect today.
No. Are you serious?
Yes. So the thought was that Sam had forgotten that he had added it to the whiskey, and he drank more than he should have, inadvertently poisoning himself.
Okay, that's my favorite. That is by far my favorite.
I'd like to go with that theory as well. Isn't it so good?
Dumbass.
I need to get my romance on at night.
Right. Well, when you're 80-something, sometimes you need a little help playing bridge.
Yeah.
It's...
Sometimes you forget that you were planning on playing bridge.
Right. I'm going to just stop with...
So many good things could come from that, but yeah.
Strychnine was used like Viagra.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And just like little minuscule amounts of it. Mm-hmm.
And men would take it because, so what if it's poison?
Yeah.
I need to play bridge. I just can't.
I need to play bridge.
I need to play bridge.
That one tickled my fancy.
That's so excellent.
Yes, so good. Colleen herself had never heard the story about her grandpa or Sam McMullin until she was in high school, and the news did an article about it.
Oh, get out.
Isn't that crazy? So her grandma, who was Roy's daughter, was heartbroken. She was so sad that it had been brought back up. She had adored her dad, and seeing his name slung in the mud again was like too much for her. She was sad. But Colleen said she went to a museum. There's this museum in downtown Grand Junction with the Western history of that area. In the museum, on display, they have the actual liquor bottle and Roy's shoe on display.
The one that stood outside the window?
Yeah.
The shoe?
The shoe. I know. Just one. Isn't that funny?
Oh,
so
that's
I feel
crazy.
like I need to go over there and see it. I mean, I've been to that museum before, but, now that we know the story.
But now it means something to you.
I know! They have the poison bottle. That's crazy.
The poison bottle and the shoe.
The shoe. So that is the tale of Sam McMullin.
Oh, I'm so glad she sent in that story. That's a good one.
Isn't that a great
That was a good
story?
One.
I love it.
So many opportunities to create stickers.
I know.
Many.
And I even have photos that go along with these. And Mazie does not seem the type that was a loose bridge player, in my opinion.
A loose bridge player.
She's not what I would have envisioned as
interesting.
This negligee wearing.
Does she have nice bosoms?
I could not tell from the photos.
Okay. She seemed
she
to
was
think
a little more manly.
Flashing them everywhere. Maybe that's why she was flashing them so much. I am a woman.
She was
prove it to you.
Let me show you. Because in the photos, she's a little more masculine seeming.
So now I understand why she was always flashing her boobs and wearing negligees. Because she was trying to emphasize, I am not a man.
Don't look at my face. Look here.
Exactly.
There's a book that I checked out online by Kate Ruland Thorne called Historic Tales of Colorado's Grand Valley. There is a website, thehistoric7thstreet.org, and of course, my friend Colleen's first-person account.
Oh, yeah.
From the
you can't get better than that.
No, it was
freaking awesome.
Fantastic. I loved that story.
That's beautiful. I love it.
I know. I love the history. So much fun. Two-tone cars.
Two-tone cars.
Poison. Viagra. Strychnine. All the things. All of it.
And now I'm going to start using bourbon first thing in the morning. I'll let you know how that goes tomorrow.
You're back in bed by noon.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, but we work till 5. I'll see you tomorrow.
No, I'll start tomorrow. Maybe at midnight. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have any other stories you would like us to tell in our very professional manner, please feel free to send them in to our email, odfmpodcast@gmail.com, or you can message us on Facebook or whatever. Or if there's a well-known story that you're like, I would love to hear you guys rip this one apart, could you please talk about so-and-so? You know.
We will be happy to do so.
We are down with that.
Yes.
We are totally down with that.
See you next week.
Bye. To see images from this story, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ODFM Podcast, or on our website at odfmpodcast.com, where you'll also find a link to our merch store, where you can get awesome stuff like t-shirts, mugs, stickers, and more.
And if the weekly podcast just isn't enough to fill your ODFM cup full, join our fan club on Patreon for more content like minisodes, bloopers, and discounts at our merch store. That site is patreon.com/ODFM podcast.
And if you do love our bloopers and need more than we naturally do, which is a lot, buy us a glass of wine at buymeacoffee.com/ODFM podcast. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful.